What if I told you, a country once seen as poor, outdated, and stuck in the past, quietly built one of the richest economies in human history in just a few decades? And the strangest part? Most people didn't even notice it happening. No explosions, no wars, no single big moment. Just a secret plan, unfolding step by step. But here's the question nobody asks. How does a country go from almost nothing to becoming the world's factory, lender, and global competitor to superpowers like the United States? And even more important, was it luck or something carefully designed? Let's rewind. Back in the late 1970s, China was not what you see today. No skyscrapers, no megacities, no global tech giants. Just a country moving, slowly, like a heavy truck stuck in mud. Life was simple and hard. Factories were old. Technology was behind. The economy, barely moving. And then came a question that changed everything. Stay the same or completely change the system? But changing everything is dangerous, because when you open a locked system, you never know what comes out. And that's when it happened. A leader stepped forward, Deng Xiaoping, and he said something simple, but powerful. It doesn't matter if the cat is black or white, as long as it catches mice. Sounds simple, right? But this sentence was actually a turning point, because hidden inside it was a radical idea. What if China stops following old rules and starts doing what actually works? But works for what? And copied from who? Here's where the first secret begins. China didn't try to reinvent the world. It studied it, carefully, like a student watching the smartest kid in class. It looked at Japan, South Korea, and especially the United States, and asked one question: what are they doing that we are not? The answer was uncomfortable. Factories, exports, foreign investment. So China made a decision. Open the doors, but only in specific places. Special zones were created. Think of them like economic test cities. Foreign companies were invited in. They could build factories, hire workers, produce goods cheaply. But there was one condition. They had to share knowledge. And this changed everything. Because China wasn't just working, it was learning. Fast. Almost dangerously fast. But here's the twist nobody noticed yet. At first, it looked like simple manufacturing. Toys, clothes, cheap electronics. Nothing special. Just low-cost production for the world. But behind the scenes, China was building something much bigger. A machine. A system designed for scale, for speed, for dominance. And this leads to the second secret. Because here's the question nobody asked. What happens when you become the world's factory? You don't just make products, you control supply. And when you control supply, you control prices. And when you control prices, you control the game. China didn't rush. It expanded quietly, factory by factory, city by city, until suddenly the world depended on it. Your phone? China. Your clothes? China. Your electronics? China. But this wasn't luck. It was structure. And still, something bigger was happening. Money. Because factories alone don't make a country rich. You need capital. Huge amounts of it. So China did something unusual. It saved aggressively. Not spending, saving. Then reinvesting everything into infrastructure. Roads, railways, ports, entire cities. But here's the real secret. China wasn't just building infrastructure. It was building speed. Because in economics, speed equals power. If you move faster, you grow faster. If you build faster, you scale faster. And China became obsessed with one idea: do everything faster than everyone else. But there was still one missing piece: technology. At first, China was behind, far behind. But instead of trying to start from zero, it did something smarter. It invited global tech companies in. but with conditions. They had to partner locally. They had to share knowledge. And slowly, China learned from the best. Until one day, it stopped learning and started competing. And this is where the world started noticing something strange. Chinese companies weren't just copying anymore. They were improving. Faster, cheaper, more scalable. And now comes the final secret, the biggest one. China didn't just aim to catch up. It moved step by step up the value chain. Toys, electronics, smartphones, AI, electric cars. Each stage was intentional, like climbing a ladder, one rung at a time. And every time the world thought, okay, this is where China stops, it kept going.
But why? Because the plan was never just about catching up. It was about becoming essential. If the world can't function without you, you are no longer just a participant. You are a power center. And that changes everything. Now today, China stands in a completely different position. It is no longer just the world's factory. It is a global economic force, competing in technology, finance, infrastructure, even space projects. But here's the final question. Was it really a secret plan? Or was it just a series of smart decisions stacked over time? Maybe the truth is more uncomfortable. Maybe wealth isn't built overnight. But it can feel like it was. Because when you move slowly, strategically, and consistently, the world doesn't notice the moment you become powerful. They only notice when it's too late. And by then, the system is already built. The machine is already running, and the rise is already complete. But the real question is, who's next?